Now, Matt, before we dive into NetSuite CPQ, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your background? This is your first year on NetSuite TV, so we want to get to know you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I came from a company called Verenio, which was the makers of NetSuite CPQ that got acquired last year. So coming over and joining the big leagues has been a real eye-opening experience.
I'm sure. How are you enjoying it so far?
Oh, it's fantastic. Being able to going from a small operation to having the global resources and support structure that we can now reach all of our customers around the world. It's been great.
Go.
So, in terms of the transition, now being part of NetSuite, talk to us about that from the product standpoint.
So it's interesting because I was working sales back at Verenio, and when I came over in the transition, moved over to the product team, so it's a bit of a new boat for me. But being able to help bring innovations and new products to market has been fantastic, as well as still supporting the sales teams.
Sure. Well, we've certainly heard the term CPQ more and more these days, especially starting last year, but just in case anybody's not familiar with it, can you explain what CPQ is, what it does, how it works?
Absolutely. So CPQ is Configure, Price, Quote, and it's a means of creating quotes and orders for complex products and services. So if there's a lot of logic or business rules associated with these, component compatibilities, customer-specific rules, pricing rules, we idiot-proof all that in the quote and order creation process so that it's physically impossible to make a mistake. We really streamline and automate that quote and order creation process.
That includes preventing people from trying to order something that can't actually exist.
100%. Any business rule that you can think of, and I promise you that we've implemented it in a customer instance somewhere.
Wow. Another component of CPQ is guided selling. What is this? When would a customer use this, and why would a customer use guided selling versus the full CPQ solution?
Sure. So the Configurator, like I said, is for those complex products or services. Guided selling is more of a digital catalog. It sits right on top of the NetSuite Item Master, and it gives a means to quickly and easily drill down through that large SKU library for the correct item. And a lot of cross-sell, upsell opportunities there. We see a lot of wholesalers and distributors, manufacturers that do parts and pieces will use guided selling. So broadly speaking, Configurator is for complex products and services. Guided selling is for off-the-shelf items.
I want to peel that back a bit to let our audience get to kind of know that a bit better. So what are the benefits of one versus the other or both?
It just depends on what you're selling.
Okay.
If everything you produce is bespoke, is customized, is configurable, you're not going to need guided selling. But if you have a warehouse full of items that are just kind of off the shelf, you're not going to need to make any changes to those. A lot of customers we have that are using both in concert together, so as needed.
Yeah, makes sense.
So you talk about moving from sales to product. Now that CPQ is part of NetSuite, what have you been hearing from customers about NetSuite CPQ?
Oh, that they absolutely love it, and that we're part of the broader ecosystem now. As you know, the SDN network is fantastic, but being part of the family, it definitely opens doors, makes just working easier, makes communication easier.
Great. So give us some ideas about what some of the challenges are that they're overcoming and able to do with CPQ part of NetSuite.
Sure. So as an example, we have a customer that's here that does fluid power systems, so hydraulics, pneumatics, and they deal with the fittings and the hoses. And you can imagine however many manufacturers there are, all the compatibility issues that they have. So they had this huge litany of data and rules that for the products that what could and could not go together. So they use CPQ to automate that process. So their sales folks don't have to go searching through a rack of spreadsheets or go chasing down the one person that knows the customer specific rules or pulling sticky notes off of a monitor to find out how they should actually be creating this quote or order. So being able to just get all of that into the system automatically has been a huge, huge time saver for them.
That doesn't happen to be DePady Fluid Power, does it? Well, guess what? We're going to have them on NetSuite TV right after this. It's like we read your mind.
I think so.
We do that from time to time.
Yeah.
You guys are in the wrong business.
I know,
You'd be making
right?
a fortune somewhere.
Okay, so CPQ, in our humble opinion, NetSuite CPQ is the best CPQ.
I share that opinion.
Thank you. But for someone who's tuning in right now who doesn't understand the difference between NetSuite CPQ and our competitors, for example, why would you tell them to go with NetSuite?
So
here's your chance to bash the competitors.
Let's do it. Knock it out of the park.
Every other CPQ that's on the market is a third party. It was an acquisition, but unlike those other acquisitions, NetSuite CPQ is the only one that's actually built totally on platform inside of the ERP. Every other one that's available on the market has been given a coat of paint, is square peg round hole sort of thing. We are the only solution that's built inside of the ERP, and what that means is that we have instant access to any data in any record in any field anywhere inside of the system. So really taking advantage of the sweetness.
Right, the sweetness. We keep hearing that today.
Yeah, I want to come back to that. Last year on stage when Evan talked about NetSuite CPQ, he talked about all these things that you were talking about, people running around, calling this person, looking up that spreadsheet, looking at a product catalog, trying to make sure that the right thing gets sold. And this year Evan talked about doing more with less. I mean, it sounds like this is doing more with less. It's all automated.
100%.
How are we moving to do even more of that?
Well, we're constantly innovating the product. There's, we're expanding the use for our software and services folks with the suite billing integration. We just launched in Australia officially, so that's hugely exciting for us.
Great. Wow. So moving and grooving there. And back to the idea of sweetness, how are we seeing customers use NetSuite CPQ with the broader suite?
So they'll usually get started with financials and then get their books in order, and then they'll look into their manufacturing processes and realize all of the stop gaps, all of the siloed knowledge that they're dealing with, all of those exhaustive processes that we were talking about, and being able to just eliminate those. On top of also being able to eliminate the rate of errors. We've had customers that have actually reorganized their entire RMA, return of materials authorization, and let those folks do other more important jobs than having to deal with fixing mistakes that have been happening.
Wow. That's got to be a huge time saver for these companies.
Huge time saver, huge money saver. We've had folks that have called back and told us that the system paid for itself inside of a month, just stopping the money that they were bleeding that they didn't realize.
Wow, that's incredible.
There's some ROI right there.
Yeah, seriously. Well, we just so appreciate you coming on talking about NetSuite CPQ. It's really exciting to kind of hear, year one last year when we first announced it, and coming back and hearing from you all the excellence that we've really deployed to our customers over the past year. Any final thoughts before we let you go here?
Just thank you for having me, and I hope everybody gets the chance to explore NetSuite CPQ and gets a chance to take a look at all the good things that we're doing for our customers.
Amazing. Well, thank you very, very much.